Hello, Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. My name is Chase Steele Gray, and here we are once again on what we like to call Health and Wellness Wednesdays. On this day, we go through all sorts of topics. We've spoken about everything you can think of. Obviously, there are multiple pieces to health and wellness. So I'm fortunate to have a day like
blank on me.
Then I'm going to introduce her because she's got a lot of stuff with her. Trust me, you're going to see that when we go along. So, Ayo Handy-Kendi is the Breath Sekou, a 50-plus year master teacher, practitioner of breathing practices, certified in transformational breathing, Reiki, RaSeiki, QiGong, laughter yoga, breathology, and diversity training. She's the founder of the system Optimum Life Breathology, OLB, which has certified over 250 breathologists. Her company, PositivEnergyWorks, has breathed with millions in the media, featured on Steve Harvey Morning Show, Roland Martin's Hour, CNN, and most recently, the Boris P. Henson Foundation. CEO Taraji P. Henson, the New York Times, and Washington Post. Further, she's the founder of Black Love Day, which is February 13th, and founder director of the African American Holiday Association, a nonprofit that stewards BLD, a ritual of reconciliation and connects culture with health. She is a sought-after breath facilitator, diversity trainer, speaker, storyteller, reenactor, author, playwright, sound healer, composer, degreed counselor, life coach, and community organizer, entrepreneur who has thrived, not just survived through many of life's adversities due to breath training. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. We went deep on there. Woo! Welcome, Ayo. How are you today?
I am grateful and I am blessed, and I've been doing my work for 50 plus years. So trying to condense all that you've done in 50 plus years, you did well to cut it off right there.
Hey, let me tell you, after reading that, I don't know how you eat or sleep. That's my question.
Yeah.
When do you get those things in? Goodness gracious.
Yes, I work from sun up till sundown.
That's what it seems like. Who has time to do anything but that? I was tired reading that. So the question today, how do we breathe better to live better? Before you begin, I'm almost certain that when people saw this topic, they were thinking about how we subconsciously breathe. Like, we're breathing. Like, what is she going to tell me about breathing? I breathe every day. I've been breathing since I'm alive. It sounds very like, oh, well, we know how to breathe. And I want you to make sure that you begin with what are we zeroing in on here? Like, go right to it. You know what you're talking about. I don't need to tell you anything, but that question, I think, sparks a little bit of curiosity in people's brains. So take us there, if you would.
Well, I had hoped that question would be a great summary introduction to an ancient understanding, the awareness that our daily breathing that we tend to take for granted is the essential life force. Right. And without the breath, there is no life. And with better breathing, there is better life. And the unfortunate thing that has happened to the world today is the issues of stress and trauma that puts a great challenge on holding our breath, breathing in dysfunctional ways. And if we could return back to the ancient teachings and practice of better breathing practices, we could breathe better and live better and deal with 60 or more stress-related issues that simply by changing the way we breathe, we really can change our life, our health, our physical, mental, spiritual connection so that we can live better.
Now, are you going to go into something that suggests that we have a daily practice of breathing to set up the breathing, or something that
we
can continually do throughout the day to sustain.
Yes, there are many. Breath training now is in a resurgence trend now. And
so I think
a lot of people
frozen on my side. Okay.
Yeah, you are frozen.
Now you're not. Okay.
Yeah, you are frozen.
I'm frozen?
You're back now.
Huh.
You're back now.
Okay, go ahead. Begin that again, please.
Okay. The world of breath training is experiencing this trending resurgence. Yet the ancient understanding of breath training was always a practice. It wasn't just considered a technique that we do every so often to achieve a certain result. It was a daily practice of mastering the very essential quality of our breathing. And we breathe 20,000 times a day, Chase. And to have optimum breathing gives us this optimum life force. Yet dysfunctional breathing has become such a habit for most people. And I believe that doctors don't do enough to help us change the connection of how critically important optimal breathing is. A doctor, the first thing they do when you go to some doctors, they will put a stethoscope and they'll check your heartbeat and may check your breathing. But integrated doctors and wellness practitioners know that if we can change our breathing, we begin to change every aspect of the cellular functioning, the awareness of our heart rate, lowering our blood pressure, decreasing it. So many functions that relate to the challenges we have today simply relate to holding the breath. Dysfunctionally breathing high up in the chest is shallow breathing compared to deeper in the belly. And when you can change those two simple functions, your practice is that you be consistently aware of holding the breath when you're under stress and trauma. You know, when you're in fear, you look at a movie and what do? The first thing we do, we hold our breath, right? Well, there's many of us who are moving through our daily life, holding their breath in fear and trauma, and the brain concept where we are wired to hold our breath when we're in pain and trauma. And so to begin to override the actual way in which our brain helps us get through pain, trauma, stresses, a lot of the concerns that we have to deal with, to be able to even notice when we're holding our breath, and then to breathe through those holding patterns. It increases the ability for the nervous system to calm down, the heart rate to slow down, and our being able to master going through things that oftentimes we can't really, change and deal with. But that if we can breathe calm, just as your slogan states, and breathe from a deeper space in our bodies, we begin to use this technique of breathing as a daily tool, not just every so often, but a daily tool, a practice.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you now.
Your signal's going out back and forth since you've been talking, and I don't know if I'm the only person.
Yeah, you froze again. You're in freeze mode now. So I don't know.
Something is very strange with our connection today.
Yeah, I don't know if people hear me as you freeze, but if you'd like me to go on and continue to share while you freeze.
I hear you clearly.
Okay, good. Okay then. Okay. And so if we think about all of the conscious raising modalities that we utilize Singers do proper breathing.
I
Speakers
don't know what's happening.
do proper breathing. I see several people in the chat, they're saying they hear me.
We hear her clearly, Chase. We hear her clearly.
They hear me.
Yeah, it's your end because we hear her clearly.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I'm going to keep on going then while Chase, whatever's going over here, gets itself rebooted maybe. I don't know, Chase, that might help. But yes, all of the people who do martial arts and Tai Chi, meditation, all of those higher conscious raising aspects in our prayers and just our movements and exercise, having the mastery of having the efficient breath as opposed to a dysfunctional breath enables us to just really, really connect on these higher levels and connect. We talk about the mental health, the emotional health, the wellness and physical health, and again, the spiritual health. Just having proper breathing compared to the way in which most of us breathe in this dysfunctional way. And I'm going to demonstrate what a dysfunctional breath is compared to an efficient breath if we have the time. Just by having the mastery over an optimal breath, you're able to do things with your life force that just surpasses all of the things that hold us into these patterns of ill health and emotional distress. So I always say at age 73 on my birthday, July 15th, that I'm the product of the product starting this work at age 19. And now through all kinds of serious stresses and traumas and adversities, losing my son, depression, substance abuse, being dragged down the street from abusive husbands, losing homes, right? And working as a community organizer with great big huge marches and demonstrations, I've been able to breathe through all kinds of things. And when I recently went to the doctor said, "Sister, your blood pressure is the level of a teenager." And I said, "Oh, that's really, really great to know." I have friends who passed away with strokes and heart attacks and have had cancer. And despite all my traumas and dramas and dysfunctional behavior on some of these traumas and dramas, I keep breathing through it. And it positions me and it calms me and it gives me the energy, the focus, the wherewithal to manage all of these stress hormones that flood our body. They give us extra inflammation that enables all of just my simply being able to breathe, changes the whole physicality of my being. And we speak about, yes, we have all kinds of breathing techniques. Some are transformative. Some enable us to move better. Some enable us to project our voice better, speakers and singers and what have you. They give us more stamina as athletes, yes. But to simply have mastery over the key to life, simply a simple deep breath, inhale and exhale, as you stated, inhale and exhale, but inhale and exhale in the way that is correct, efficient, and allows us to have the most oxygen that it gives us the first food, that is the food that we live 45 days or more with eating. We can live without the water 21 days. I call that the liquid breath. But this oxygen, this element, this life force, without it, anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes, our brain begins to shut down. At 8 minutes, we're gone home to glory. So we should be focusing attention on the most essential, fundamental of life.
So when you're talking about this breathing and this specific way of breathing, let's go in reverse a little bit and give us a few short ways that we are not doing it properly. What are the things that are?
Great question. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate and I'm going to stand up and I hope I don't get out of camera. You don't need to see my face. I want you to look at my chest.
Okay.
The vast majority of people breathe in a what we call a shallow way, an upper chest. And I call them chest sit-ups. And as we inhale in, we expand our chest and lift our shoulders. Inhale in, expand the chest and lift our shoulders. Some of us push our shoulders back, trying to get more oxygen. And imagine, because we breathe 20,000 times a day, 15 to 18 times a minute, breath, 15 to 18 breaths a minute. To breathe in this way, where there is a breastplate here that protects the lungs, knowing the anatomy, the upper lungs are small compared to the lower lungs here are wider. And so I tell people, put one hand on their chest, put one hand on their belly, and feel the difference when you breathe from here. Inhale, push the belly out. Exhale, the belly goes in. It expands the lower lung to its widest, which enables what goes down, oxygen rises up, and it expands the upper, middle, and lower regions of the body. First and foremost, expanding the lower regions of the body. So an expansive lung can get anywhere from 9 to 10 pints of oxygen compared to a limited, restricted upper chest, small capacity encased by a skeletal wall, right? You are able to get perhaps about 1 pint of oxygen. That 1 pint of oxygen has to circulate through the heart, the lungs, all of the nerve tissues, expanding the oxygen in the gut, expanding the oxygen in our bowels, going all the way down to our tippy toes, right? 1 pint of oxygen compared to 9 to 10 pints of oxygen doing that same level of circulation. It makes all the critical difference in how the body's physicality functions. And of course, oxygen that flows to the brain, one of the biggest organs, the heart, the heart's the biggest, the brain is, needs a lot of oxygen, the lungs is the third organ. All of those particular organs, with decreased oxygen, we struggle. But with increased oxygen, we expand. We do the work that the body is designed to do. So that's why we have so many issues, 60 or more, that are related to just simply not getting the food that the body needs, the critical food, the oxygen meal from our air to our breathing.
If I may ask, I hope I'm not being too personal. No disrespect to you in any way. You are a beautiful human being.
Sure.
When you were born, were you born with any respiratory issues? Were you led here by something, or was it just the information came to you from somewhere and you used it immediately, so you became more fascinated with it? What was the genesis of all this incredible information for you?
Sure, Chase, that's a wonderful question. I wasn't, to my awareness, born with any respiratory issue. I was born with some dysfunction in my eyes. I was hospitalized when I was like 3, and I had to have my eyelids opened up. I had something called ptosis. So my little Chinese looking African eyes is no accident. It was a dysfunction. But what really led me to really knowing this information and feeling so passionate about it, I had my first breathing book at age 19, The Science of Breath. And I noticed I was holding my breath a lot at age 19. As years went on, I experienced issues with depression, and I kept wondering, why do I feel so low all the time? Yet I was doing things like meditation. I started that at about age 20 or so. I started doing all these practices around breath because the Science of Breath book just amazed me. I said, oh, this wonderful tool. Well, then I had the really unfortunate piece in my life that totally changed my life, to make me commit to this sharing this breath more. My 17-year-old son was hit over the head with a blunt instrument. and left in the street. And the doctors put him on a oxygen breath machine to keep him alive. Wow. And we were told that we can keep your son alive for as long as you allow him on the machine. And we had, my husband and I had to make the decision, should we keep him on this machine? He would be a vegetable without it. And we asked him to take him off the machine and see if he breathed on his own. And he did not. They plugged him back up on the machine. And they said, well, you know, we can keep him on the machine forever, but he didn't have life. And my spiritual awareness said, this young man was so vibrant that without this breath of life, he would live, but he would not be alive. And we decided to take him off the machine. And that aha moment totally changed this work I had been doing. It managed my stress, and I was kind of drinking and drugging in between doing these breath techniques. I was telling people about it, but that totally changed my whole perspective, that without the breath of life, most of us are walking around half dead, half brain dead, half, barely functioning, not having the vibrancy. It's simply the energy, simply what this oxygen field can do.
It's powerful. It's very powerful information. If you would join us for a series, I'm going to call this the first in our series. We'll talk more in depth about a lot of other things. I want you to touch on this Black Love Day. This sounds really interesting to me. And I did some research on you and all of your beautiful accolades and accomplishments. And this Black Love Day really, it sounds like something we need to hear about. How did that come out?
Yes, Black Love Day is February the 13th. It's now it'll be 33 years next February the 13th. Right. And it was downloaded to me spiritually. I didn't think of it intellectually. I was the founder of the African American Holiday Association starting in 1989, which started from a newsletter I published called Positive Energy Newsletter. And we started sharing about holiday celebrations and rituals. And I believe it was no accident that as I continue to talk about the importance of African-centered holiday celebrations and rituals, I was actually I went to see the movie Malcolm X, and I done a lot of work with pro-peace, anti-violence. And in the movie, when I saw my hero Malcolm get shot down, I just sat down in the sunlight of this bus ride home, and I asked the creator, what can I do to stop violence and increase peace? What more can I do? And I heard the creator speak to me that we need more Black love. We need more Black love. And I continue to get this download understanding. And in 40 days, the information I received was that we should have a Black Love Day. And Black Love Day is actually a day of conscious raising. For me, I say to connect it with the breath, that one of the most powerful things we can do to feel our true Black love for self is to heal ourselves and relearn to breathe. Because we have all this intergenerational trauma that has been passed down. And to change the intergenerational trauma, breath techniques that I do share along with daily deep breathing is to enable people to go into the subconscious mind and to breathe the pain and the trauma that has been not only passed down, but what we still are experiencing today with racism prevalent and all sorts of privileged people oppressing us still today. And so to have mastery over, every time we go through trauma and drama, we're holding our breath, we continue to hurt ourselves as opposed to being able to breathe deeply. And so Black Love Day, we connect the dots between culture and health, that if you are able to get through some of the cultural impediments that keep us in this sense of depression, low-lying depression, and bound and hurt and in pain, and we can just breathe through it so we can get to it, so that we can heal.
Absolutely. I got emotional just now while you said that. My eyes are wet.
Yes. And a slogan we have created is breathe to feel to heal, because most of the time we suppress that pain and we hold the breath and Brainstem says, okay, well, I'm going to not make you feel pain, but we have to override that decision. Say, brainstem, no, we got to breathe through it. And we got to do the other breath techniques. It's not only just inhale and exhale, Chase. I teach people they need to scream, they need to holler, they need to get that stuff out of them. They need to laugh, you know, all of these are breath techniques. They need to sing, they need to hum. Breath techniques that allow us on a daily basis to not just sit there all numb and, my God, every time I turn on the computer, all the things that you read about. No, we've got to be able to breathe, to feel it, to heal it, and then to release it so it doesn't get stuck in our cellular memory and continue to traumatize not just this generation, but even our unborn children. They're already looking at how much of the violence is changing the DNA of our children. And so to begin a simple practice of just allowing ourselves to connect with our everyday, what we do, the most efficient tool that gives us the greatest mastery on every single level, that doesn't cost us anything. We don't have to go to a gym and suit all up, and all we have to do is find tools of breathing and allow ourselves to practice better breathing for better life.
Of course, time has had its way with us once again. Absolutely beautiful outfit you're wearing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You like this?
Stood up. I'm so intrigued by those colors. Wow.
Thank you. I was trying to think of what I felt like today, because yesterday I was in the emergency room. I need to say this. I was in the emergency room with my grandson all day. And I need to say this to the world. Most of the young people that came in, like my son, my grandson, were not drinking the liquid breath, the water. And they were all holding their kidney. And they were all in great pain. I mean, crying and falling all out on the floor, that kind of pain, because that liquid breath is important, okay? So everything about oxygen has its benefits. So I was like worn out yesterday. And I said, I got to be really vibrant today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for picking the regal color of gold and the red for love, because
thank you.
My goodness, I need to see that every day. I put it in front of me all the time. And shout out to all the people who were able to be there for your grandson. Oh my God, the nurses are, I can't say enough about nurses. They are absolutely beautiful individuals, and the world needs more of them.
Yes,
my goodness.
We were so grateful he was able to come home, and he's recuperating.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think we should take at least one question. We're almost out of time, but if anyone has a question, please chime in right now. That was so much information. That's why we have to do a series, because I have 4 more questions at least to ask you. And
okay.
If anyone has a question, Florence.
I have a question, but I received from God that God is the breath, that the connection that we have lost is the connection of God, the breath of life, because the first gift that God gave us is the breath when we enter the world, and the last thing that goes from us when we leave is the breath. So the quality of the breath and the relationship that we have with it is the quality of our lives, and I received that in 2022. So I wanted to say thank you to Mama Ayo for practicing that.
And thank you, Sister Florence. And truly, you have hit it right on the head. When we speak about the breath, is the connection spirit, mind, and body. If you look at the Latin word for spirit, it means to breathe. That's the Latin root for the word spirit. And if you look at all of the names of the Creator, Allah, Oladumaye, Ja'ah, Jehovah, hallelujah, hear the sound. And the sound is the sound of the heart, but it's also the sound of God, Ra'ah, Pata'ah. The sound is the sound of the Almighty. And so every time you practice a breath technique, I agree, the first thing we do, we come into the world, we take our first breath. Everything we do as we leave this world, we take our last breath, but all in between the first and the last breath, that connection to the Almighty is the breath. If we can breathe better, we do get closer. My intuition has heightened tremendously in consciousness by just being able to stop in the middle of the storms of life, I say, and just breathe. I hear the Creator speak to me more clear, and I'm able to ask questions. Now, what should I do now? And I get the answers quicker, and people are led to me. Oh, just connecting with the breath has made those beautiful, beautiful connections.
Amazing, really amazing. I would like you to register to come back in exactly 4 weeks from now. If you can do that whenever. I have so many more questions. I know the people on this platform have a lot of questions. You have such a wealth of information. I studied you very diligently, and I have so many things that I have to ask you. But I want to thank you for being here. It's been a fine pleasure. You have such a great spirit. You have information just pouring out of you, which is very advantageous for us. So we thank you. Yeah. And before we leave, I like to go over the tenets that we have. Because I'm sure you've heard them before. Of course, live out loud, right? To the best of your potential. Love harder than you've loved before, because we can't do it without more love, right? Laughter, like you said, the laughter is so important. It's not that serious out here. We have to take things with a little bit more of a little curve, right? We got to move our body. Moving is so essential. Walking, swimming, dancing, biking, rollerblading. Keep the body in motion. This is really, really, really key, right? Also, really decide to give a plant-based intake of food very, very seriously. Because if you do it 2 or 3 or 4 days a week, your body might like that. You might get pulled into that area. Give it a shot. Plant-based is so good for the temple. Also, just check yourself before you have these assumptions that kill you, that kill your vibe, right? Or I should say, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? And sleep. Everyone needs more sleep. I can talk to anyone in my life, they need more sleep. I'm right in the top 5 of that list, right? The mind moves, it flows, it pushes out. You're worrying, you're thinking, you're da-da-da. Give yourself more sleep, right? If you only get in 5, get 7 tomorrow. Go to sleep at 9 or 10. Really, really, really say to you that that's something that you should give a strong shot. And as always, thank you for being here. The Daily Huddle is 5 days a week. Every day you're going to leave with something. I promise you will. I promise you will. And once again, thank you so much, Mama Ayo. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. We'll see you next time on the Daily Huddle. Thank you.
Peace.
Blessings. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good job, y'all.
Thank you, Mama
Go
Ayo.
to the website.
Send out to you from the Father.
Mama Ayo, if you're still here.